The False Dragon. Why I believe young Griff will die before meeting Daenerys. Now, many people believe that Dany will hear about young Griff and immediately go to Westeros to take back what she believes is hers, the Iron Throne. This will then lead to a second Dance of the Dragons, but I disagree with this plot point entirely. Like, I don't get it. Whatever. First, we should look at why young Griff goes to Westeros without Daenerys. Initially, he plans to go to Dany, but he decides against it because Tyrion says this to him. Must. Tyrion made a tisking sound. That is not a word queens like to hear. You are her perfect prince agreed, bright and bold and comely as any maid could wish. Daenerys Targaryen is no maid, however. She is the widow of a Dothraki Khal, a mother of dragons, and a sacker of cities. Aegon the Conqueror with teats. She may not prove as willing as you wish. She'll be willing. Prince Aegon sounded shocked. It was plain that he had never before considered the possibility that his bride-to-be might refuse him. Tyrion is taking advantage of the naivete of young Griff and also taking out some anger on him because he called him a dwarf in a scornful way before this moment. Young Griff has never considered the idea that Dany would reject him, which speaks to his naivete and his arrogance. This will also be his downfall. Aegon's mouth twisted in fury. I will not come to my aunt a beggar. I will come to her a kinsman with an army, a small army. There, that's made him good and angry. The dwarf could not help but think of Joffrey. I have a gift of angering princes. Queen Daenerys has a large one, and no thanks to you. Tyrion moved crossbows. Say what you want. She will be my bride. Lord Connington will see to it. I trust him as much as if he were my own blood. Perhaps you should be the fool instead of me. Trust no one, my prince. Tyrion plays into Aegon's arrogance. His whole life, even though he's been in exile, he has been told that he is the future king of Westeros, similar to Viserys, that has always been the goal for him. So while he may play pretend as somebody who has struggled, it's fake. But Prince Aegon said, without Daenerys and her dragons, how could we hope to win? You do not need to win, Tyrion told him. All you need is to raise your banners, rally your supporters, and hold until Daenerys arrives to join her strength to yours. You said she might not have me. Perhaps I overstated. She may take pity on you when you come begging for her hand. The dwarf shrugged. Do you want to wager your throne upon a woman's whim? Go to Westeros, though. Then you are a rebel, not a beggar. Bold, reckless, a true scion of House Targaryen, walking in the footsteps of Aegon the Conqueror, a dragon. By goading Aegon into this plan, Tyrion has essentially set Aegon up for doom. He literally just rage baits him, and it works, which is hilarious that this 18-year-old got rage baited by Tyrion. Could never be Daenerys or Jon, I'll tell you that much. Well, maybe Jon, but not Daenerys. He tells Aegon to go without Dany. Take advantage of the chaos in Westeros so that when you meet, you will be equals. And I believe that Aegon will succeed in taking Westeros, and he will be king. But this is a short-term goal that is coming before the long term, which will end up having dire consequences. Tyrion knows Dany better than most of the fandom and says that when she hears of him, she will come running. You are the last of her line, and this mother of dragons, this breaker of chains, is above all a rescuer. This girl who drowned the slaver cities in blood rather than leave strangers to their chains can scarcely abandon her own brother's son in his hour of peril. And when she reaches Westeros and meets you for the first time, you will meet as equals, men and women, not queen and supplicant. I told you, I know our little queen. Let her hear that her brother Rhaegar's murdered son is still alive, that this brave boy has raised the dragon standard of her forebears in Westeros once more, that he is fighting a desperate war to avenge his father and reclaim the Iron Throne for House Targaryen, hard pressed on every side. And she will fly to your side as fast as wind and water can carry her. Something that seems to be completely forgotten by the fandom is that Daenerys is deeply lonely about being the last Targaryen and craves a home and connection. The narrative that she wants to kill Aegon when she finds out about him makes no sense and is only based off of the TV show where she gets upset that Jon is a Targaryen, but there's no evidence for that in the text of the books. It's actually the opposite. She felt very lonely all of a sudden. Mary Masdor had promised that she would never bear a living child. House Targaryen will end with me. That made her sad. Five Aegons had ruled the seven kingdoms of Westeros. There would have been a sixth, but the usurper's dogs had murdered her brother's son when he was still a babe at the breast. If he had lived, I might have married him. Aegon would have been closer to my age than Viserys. Why would Daenerys want to murder her last living relative? I know people will say he's the Mumber's dragon, but Daenerys doesn't know that, and we don't know for sure that she will ever figure that out. If that will actually come out as boldface. And I don't think George would very boldface say, and this is who it is, because I don't think that's how he writes. But it just doesn't make any sense for Daenerys to want to fight him. But let's say that they do fight. Why would young Griff start a fight with her when the point is he goes to Westeros so that he can meet her as an equal? Let's say they do fight though. Why would young Griff start a fight with somebody who has three giant dragons and is going to be coming with a Dothraki army, the Unsullied, and the Ironborn? That makes no sense to me. He's going to fight to the death with that when he's clearly going to be outnumbered, outpowered. That's not smart at all. Unless young Griff is supposed to be stupid in this situation. But even before that, it's like people forget that things have to happen before a battle happens. Before a battle would ever have to happen, a parlay would have to happen. Stannis and Renly speak to each other before they battle. Same thing with literally every other battle that's happened. People speak to each other before they fight. Daenerys speaks to the leaders of the Yunkai and Astapor before she sieges their cities. People always talk before they fight. And if they spoke, why would they immediately get into an argument? This idea that Daenerys only cares about the Iron Throne and it's her number one goal is not true. It's her number one goal because she thinks she's the last Targaryen. When she finds out she's not the last Targaryen, why would she kill the other Targaryen in the world and make herself the last Targaryen again? That makes no sense. Also, young Griff killing Daenerys is stupid because Daenerys provides legitimacy to his claim, not the other way around. People know Daenerys exists. They know that she is a true Targaryen and she has three giant dragons to back up her claim. Why would young Griff want to get rid of that? Wouldn't he want to marry her? People just make things up because they want Daenerys to be an evil queen who blows up King's Landing, but it just doesn't make any sense. The argument falls apart once you question it for more than 2 seconds. Now, on to the main point as to why Aegon will die before he meets Daenerys. There's two main points. One, he's a foil to Daenerys. Two, allows him to be manipulated by Tyrion. Tyrion tells him plainly, trust no one. And yet he decides to go with his plan because Tyrion was capable of touching a sore spot for the young prince, his entitlement. He was raised to believe he is the next king of Westeros, and it shows. Tyrion even compares him to Joffrey. Young Griff jerked to his feet and kicked over the board. Savas pieces flew in all directions, bouncing and rolling across the deck of the Shy Maid. Pick those up, the boy commanded. "Aye," said Tyrion, "but I am small enough to hide behind a duck." He thrust half a dozen torches into the brazier coals and watched the oiled flags flare up. "Don't stare at the fire," he told himself. The flames would leave him night blind. "You're a dwarf," young Griff said scornfully. He's the false Daenerys in every way. He's an exiled prince in hiding with an exiled knight from Westeros, Jon Connington, an army of foreigners, the Golden Company. He knows many languages and he's learned how to fish and has been taught to be a good king because he understands the small folk. He knows what it's like to struggle. Daenerys is the exiled prince in hiding, being abused and dragged along by her mad brother who believes he's the rightful king. She has an exiled knight from Westeros, first Jorah Mormont, then Barristan Selmy. She has a foreign army, the Dothraki and the Unsullied. She knows many foreign languages and understands the struggle of the common folk. Daenerys earns everything she has, whereas Aegon is given it. He was given Jon Connington, someone who protected him well. He likely was in any real danger with Illyrio and Varys running his life. Dany lived on the run her whole life until 13, kept by the Sea Lord of Braavos because he liked unique things as a souvenir, and then kicked out at 5 and moved from place to place her whole life. For some reason, people think Daenerys grew up in like the manse in Pentos. She was only there for 6 months, and people would know that if they actually read Daenerys chapters. Dany knows multiple languages out of survival. She learns Dothraki because she needs to survive in the Dothraki. Okay, she learns Valyrian because she has to survive in Essos where they speak Valyrian. She learns the Giscari because she has to speak to the Giscari nobles. Aegon learns these languages because he's taught them in a controlled environment. Daenerys is sold to the Dothraki as a broodmare, but from that she gains power from her own strength. She walks into the pyre and comes out unburnt and reborn, bringing dragons and magic back into the world. No one did that for her. Aegon has a foreign army that was given to him. The same army that laughed in Viserys' face when Daenerys was a child. Black or red, a dragon is a dragon? Yeah, right. Her brother Viserys had once feasted the captains of the Golden Company in hopes they might take up his cause. They ate his food and heard his pleas and laughed at him. Dany had only been a little girl, but she remembered. As Daenerys Targaryen rose to her feet, her black hissed, pale smoke venting from its mouth and nostrils. The other two pulled away from her breast and added their voices to the call, translucent wings unfolding and stirring for the air. And for the first time in hundreds of years, the night came alive with the music of dragons. Daenerys gained the Unsullied on her own after coming to terms with her own life being sold as a slave. It was her own tenacity that got her where she is, not a cheesemonger or a spider working in the shadows. Unsullied. Dany galloped before them, her silver gold braid flying behind her, her bell chiming with every stride. Slay the good masters, slay the soldiers, slay every man who wears a togar or holds a whip, but harm no child under 12, and strike the chains off of every slave you see. She raised the harpy's fingers in the air, and then she flung the scourge aside. Freedom, she sang out. Jakaris, Jakaris. He is a foil to her in the same way that Stannis and Euron are foils to her. They're the lies she has to slay in her House of the Undying prophecy. Glowing like a sunset, a red sword raised in the hand of the blue-eyed king who casts no shadow, a cloth dragon swayed on poles amidst a cheering crowd. From a smoking tower, a great stone beast took wing, breathing shadow fire. Mother of dragons, slayer of lies. And I know people will say that that's evidence of the meeting because she must slay him. But Stannis is in that prophecy too, and I think he'll destroy himself. I don't think she needs to slay every lie herself. Although I do believe she will slay Euron because Euron is the third part of the prophecy, and Daenerys is heavily associated with the number three. 3 heads has the dragon, 3 fires you must light, 3 mounts you must ride, 3 treasons you will know. But finally, the reason Aegon is dying before meeting Daenerys is said plainly in the text by Tyrion himself. While playing Savas, George cleverly uses it to communicate young Griff's end. In Savas, the most powerful piece in the game is the dragon, and the dragon is always a female. I hope your grace will pardon me. Your king is trapped, death in 4. The prince stared at the playing board. My dragon is too far away to save you. You should have moved her to the center of the battle. But you said, I lied. Trust no one and keep your dragon close. Daenerys is the dragon. His dragon is too far to save him. He should have moved her to the center of the battle. But by going to Westeros without Daenerys, she's too far to save him. I believe the person who will kill him is Euron. People seem to discredit him, but Aaron has a dream where he sees, not a dream, a vision where he sees Euron on the Iron Throne as a tentacled monster. And I believe this is him after he summoned a Kraken Cthulhu like monster. And in my previous video, I mentioned what Euron is going to do to young Griff. In conclusion, it is young Griff's arrogance, naivete, and a bit of machismo which gets him killed before he'll ever meet Daenerys. Thank you for watching.